Okay. Like, so there's this woman, Sunny Hostin. I don't know why Michael Knowles continues to cover her. Like, there's a discrepancy here between like broke Americans with television who watch The View, and it's like the rest of us, like none of us watch this shit, so we have no idea. Also, like the people, I appreciate Amanda on Mara or whatever, who made the video today about third spaces, because something happened there, which I will talk about in another video. But so I don't know. There's it's not really like it's kind of like suburban America, but like all the like middle class Americans who just watch The View. Okay, I don't know who these people are. Like I feel like I just don't. It's not. Oh god, like I don't know. I've always had like interest in art, so it's like all the things that they do. I couldn't. I know what Starbucks is, but not the point. There's a lot of people who watch The View, so maybe that's why he's like covering it because it's a part of like culture and society. Now, here's where both of these people are wrong. Any person who like, this is why I continue to say this. Being black is almost like it's an individual identity marker. It doesn't really have much to do with like how you look. In America, it does, but it's more so political because of slavery. So Sunny Hostin or whatever, I guess she took a DNA test and figured out that her ancestors were like slave owners. Like I'm not sure, like everyone has like parents. Like if your parents were slaves at some point, you would know, right? Like American chattel slavery with the black slaves, it didn't happen like that long ago. So this is where things get, it's not actually that complicated. There are people who are descended from slaves, like one of their parents has lineage in as being like plantation slave dwellers, and they look like Sunny Hostin. So it's like either way, she could be descended from slaves or she's not. By looking at her, you can't really tell. It looks like but the weird part about this is like her stories seem to change. Like, how did she not know this before? That's where, to me, it's giving like, I don't know, y'all seem to be doing shit for like likes and clicks, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like my grandma's dead now, but like when she was alive, I definitely like talked to her and like we talked about the slavery. Not to say it like that, but you get what I'm saying. Like people know where their culture and heritage is from. And so then Michael Knowles goes on to talk about reparations and whether she believes that people should have it or whether they don't. And that is such an inappropriate conversation because it does not hold any weight. It doesn't really matter if black people want it or if they don't want it or who votes for, like none of that matters. What matters is like America, the country that we're in right now, stole labor from black people and never paid. And there are people who are alive now who have direct descendants from slavery, and those people should get the money. And there's like every year that goes by, like there's unearned interest that should be earned. So then the price just gets like higher and higher and higher. And like America will eventually pay some form of racism. But the thing that I'm actually kind of it's like I don't really care because like I don't have any intent to stay in America. Like when I keep saying like America is inherently racist, it's because of things like this. Like people are really trying to like conversate their way out of like it was like when Bernie Sanders said at one point he was like America's just not ready for reparations, and culturally that's so true. They like weren't ready, and they're like never going to be ready because we're really having serious conversations about like capitalism right now. Like if you continue to listen to women really talk about like the dating market and children and the cost of all of these things, like people are doing things or not doing things because of like what they can afford and what they can't afford. Like one thing you can learn from the Super Bowl is like classism, okay? Like Taylor was sitting there in a booth and Jack Dorsey was sitting right there, toasting champagne with Beyonce, and no matter like how you personally feel, um, Beyonce's probably not inviting you, right? Like you don't even have the option to go. There's so many things in society that like people do not have the option to do because they don't have the money to do it, and that is the reality. There's not like two stories. It's like all the broke guys talking about women that they have or didn't have or had at one point. Here's the reality, like all those men are, they're like fantasy imaginary stories in a sense, because even if a guy had access to a woman, like let's say there's some woman, she could be pretty, ugly, fat, skinny, whatever. Ask him now, like if he has some story about a woman. I went on a date with this woman. I did this with this woman. I did that. We walked to the park. We chatted, laughed, whatever. Ask him. Okay, so when was the last time you talked to that woman? Woman has like leveled up, learned a lesson, and distanced herself from that dude. Like it's pretty much like that with all the guys, all of them. They're all experiencing the exact same thing right now, where women are literally running for the hills away from them. That's why they've all become like strange incels. Like all of them. It's kind of weird, but it's also kind of true. So it's like there's some people online, right? We're having these conversations about like who likes who, and now all of a sudden black men are giving other black women compliments. Like people care about black birth. It's like that Candace Owens made a video the other day, which I actually think is so worth watching. I will put that one in the description box. But she was on stage, I guess, with T.I., and she was telling him, like, you know, the black birth rate is declining. Like, it's just not growing. This is a real problem in the black community. Like, the black community is, like, really facing some issues. And he was basically, like, gaslighting, like, everything that she was saying, because we didn't have, like, so much media and publicity and, like, information really about immigration and who's coming and who wants to come and who's being born and who's not being born, and like all of those things, all of that information, it maybe just wasn't as accessible. It was definitely there because the numbers haven't changed, they've gotten worse. Like the points that she was making have become like more real now than they were before, but maybe he just didn't understand it as much, so he's kind of like, oh, okay, well let me just I don't know, he's going to stick to his beliefs or something. I'm really not sure, but it's really weird. It's really it's very strange. People who are the descendants of chattel slavery are black in this country, and a lot of it was dictated on, you know, house Negroes and field Negroes, and that it's so sad to say, like the the most recent example kind of covering that history is like a J. Cole video where he unpacks the colorism and kind of that famous Malcolm X speech, which I guess people literally don't know about because they have no political information in their fucking brains. We live in a country full of retards. This isn't the point. Like, steer clear of the stupid. Like, I don't know what is Michael Knowles even talking about. And honestly, if you are a person who has an issue with reparations for black Americans, then you should also have an issue with the reparations that have gone to Jewish Americans, the reparations that we're giving right now to Ukraine, the reparations for Gaza, for really, I mean, we're just giving reparations to anybody. Anybody can get it except black. Like, it's actually a lot of Americans are kind of waking up, right? They're like, damn, my veterans can't get a penny, but the immigrants over here in hotels and all type of shit. America is kind of done. Not even in a joking way. It's like not even kind of. It's like full-fledged over. The culture is gone. Now even the like literal Americans can't even be American anymore. You can't even get that. Like, I never thought I would see the day when, like, even American shit is not even, there's nothing. But, you know, like I've said once, a million times. Like, I really seriously, honestly believe that black people belong in Africa. I think that you should go. Um, and let America, whatever this is, I don't know, man. This country will never be right until, like, you can't even start to have a serious conversation about justice in America until you give black Americans reparations for slavery, because there's just like an incredible amount of economic injustice that has happened while other people have been able to gain wealth in terms of like jobs, housing, all of these things. There were policies that are anti-black in this country that prohibited people from living. Like, they couldn't read, they couldn't go to school, they couldn't drink from water fountains or like ride the bus. Like, these policies stopped people from being able to live. It's like it's literally unconstitutional. The Constitution here is like the what is it? The freedom to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. No slaves were happy. Fucking idiots. Like, I swear, like, it's just. I think this is another reason why Oprah has to keep creating, like, the color purple. It's gonna be like 20 years in the future and you still have to have the color purple because there's been no reparation. So, like, unless you continue to like keep this narrative going of how fucking god awful slavery was and how like just nobody has gotten anything from it, like, at all, like, period. You gotta keep telling the story, and it's a fucking shame, but it's also real.